We are live. There we go. Let me see if I can get this thing set up properly. So I'll say, indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you for joining me again, for sharing another moment, for showing up for love, right? That really is what you friends keep showing me. Joy Vive, it's nice seeing you too, dear friend. For showing up for love, right? Realizing that you are the intersection point between the extremes, right? There is an infinite universe outside of you, and then there is an infinite depth with inside of you. And there is this intersection point that is you moving through that infinity, meaning, at least to me, that you are, beautifully said in the words of, Sam, part and parcel to what we call God, right? And yet at the same time, you're like the cross in that thing we call God, in that infinity, right? And then that loop, that other side of the infinity, all of that depth, right, is larger than you, right? That is the part of God that goes beyond you, extends beyond you. Doesn't mean that you're apart from it, doesn't mean that you're any less than it, but it does mean that there is more of it than there is of you. To bring ourselves to a level of humbling, I guess, right? Especially since we know what we are on top of all of that. It's a bit much sometimes. Thank you again. Hey, Candy Bear. It's nice seeing you too, friend. You're looking good today, Melty. Feeling better. I am. I am feeling better. I don't have any reason to feel better. I don't have. Technically, I have more reason to feel worse today. With the things that I've read, the things that I've seen, and I was like tripping out about it. But yesterday's message stays in my mind of conflict only pushing me towards more peace. I wrote about it in my journal, and then I wrote about it in messages as well, right? Of this, I was referencing you with the part and parcel too. That was sending you love. The remedy must be working. Oh, actually, I forgot to take remedy today. I'll be back in a second. I know exactly where it is. Oh. You smell? Hmm? You like that smell? I'm not taking liquid LSD. I'm not. If I just casually takes 4 drops of liquid LSD and then adds 8 more drops of it to his water supply, it's like you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like, yeah, we knew Melt was, on a trip. We didn't know he was just choofing liquid LSD like a crazy person. Thank you, Shan. Mm. Yeah, that tastes nice. So let's see. I see Doug that is here too. Mr. Neatsack himself. Thank you for joining me, Brother Bear. It's so cool seeing your name in the space. Meld wearing my favorite shirt. Gonna be a good day. Yeah. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Plus the pink scarf, plus the black pants. I really feel like I'm outfitting today. I'm like, yeah. Mm. Thank you for joining us, dude. So. It's nice seeing you too. Sending you love. The remedies are working. Did you see Pippi behind you? She usually is. She's just chilling. She's like, yeah, I protect. Yes. Man, today's stream topic is already running laps in my mind. Hello, Zana. It's nice seeing you, friend. I don't think we've met. Really? Sofa has been here for quite a bit, but sporadically. Do introduce yourself to each other. Make friends. 20 degrees outside, but the new grow shed heater has me at a toasty 51 degrees. Hey, Google, what is 51 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius? 10, 11-ish. Okay. I mean, I guess toasty is relative, right? But if it's significantly colder outside, that is toasty. I agree. What temperature range do the plants prefer? Is the thing that I'm thinking about. Griffin for the Joel. Bonjour. Tout 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 le monde. Tout le monde. Is that how I say it? Hey Google, what does tout le monde mean in French? 2 lumens. To all the world, everybody. So I'm guessing you're saying, hello, everybody. Bonjour, tout le monde. Bonjour. Feeling good today so far. Over the snow, but oh well. How about you, friend? Thank you for sharing the love. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I'm missing. I'm so lost of why Melt is upset, but I want you to embrace the schmeckiness of that shirt. I'm not upset. I'm not upset, brother Dog. That I'm not upset. I'm concerned, right? Because I'm receiving information, and this information makes me feel out of control, and I don't like feeling that way, right? And yesterday, I kind of embraced that feeling from the perspective of being willing to admit that I don't know what I'm supposed to do, right? Like I wish I was all knowing, but I am unfortunately not. Hey, Jovan and Sandy, it's nice seeing you, friends. Unfortunately, I'm not. All right, I am stupid. I say that kind of liberally, as a reminder, to keep myself somewhat humble. Right? We get so caught up in knowing something about ourselves, knowing what we need for ourselves, that it can cause a certain sense of separation between others. So being willing to kind of bring myself back to earth and release my need to be smart, right? In my family, being smart is how you are valued. Being smart is good. Don't be stupid, all right? And I know I'm not stupid, but I know that within the infinity, right? Again, today's stream topic, my cross section, the mind, the matter, cross-secting this space-time, right, is limited. Is limited. Fundamentally, beautifully so, limited. To the point where I don't get to know everything. And I don't think I would want to, even if I could. So kind of like leaning into that understanding is helping me not be upset, right? Because I feel like the thing that makes me upset is expectation that something needs to be done, right? Something needs to be done, and then if that thing gets done, then somehow things will change or whatever, right? I'm speaking vaguely, of course, so that you can maybe apply this trip to your own life. But I believe that the thing that needs to be done is not worrying about the thing that you think needs to be done for it to be better, in order for it to be better. You're like, what? I believe that problems aren't problems as much as our problems with problems are the problems to be unproblemed. All right? All right? Because there are problems. Always problems. Struggles. Forever. There's just no escaping it. But there is escaping our narrative that it needs to be different, right? Because that's when we suffer. When we're like, ah, yes, this event, this situation that's happening, it shouldn't be this way, And because it is, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna avert my gaze. I'm gonna find myself somewhere else. And it's like I've been trying, Brother Duck Dad, to remind myself and each other over and over again that love is true. Love is true. And it's still not always clear that it's understood, right? Even by me. So again, not knowing, right? Letting go of the want to be sure to know exactly what I'm supposed to do. Feeling good today so far. Let me see. Well, I would love 60 degrees Fahrenheit shed, but as my sweet grandmother used to say, people in hell want ice water. 51 will do, I hope. People in hell want ice water. I'm guessing it's like a polarity thing, right? Like if you're in hell, you're gonna want ice water, but if you're in the Antarctic, you're probably gonna want some hot chocolate, right? Am I am I picking up what you're putting down? I think so. I hope so. Uh, Laze le bon tiam relu rele. Nice sofa. I'm excited for you. I hope you have a smooth move. He's moving to Louisiana today. How far are you moving, Sofa? That's what I'm curious about. Yes, viva la French culture to everyone. Thank you. Louisiana saying, Melt, you need to look up the song Tous les mans et bossons de tous les mans by Mano. I wish I could. Send me the name. Send me that name because I'm not going to remember it, unfortunately. Then I'll probably be able to listen to it. Thank you, Louisiana. I just let my lower intestines curry in fear. Give you the standard, you poor baby. Are you still sick? Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. Jumble as well. Which one, Doug? I very much have this fractal of if things get done, X happens. Excuse me. What I realized just yesterday is that I never actually honor the thing getting so. That I never actually honor the thing getting so. I just frantically go from one thing to another. Yeah, right. It's like a it's like an obsession, and I'm obsessed with it. Problem solving, right? I'm obsessed with problem solving. I feel the problem I'm to solve is suffering, right? It's like, I get to live, and then life is suffering. And then I have to figure out how to life without suffering. And that's the problem I'm trying to solve, right? And I don't know what I'm supposed to do, yesterday's stream topic, within that infinite problem, because it is an infinite problem. And then, as you beautifully said, realizing that we can get stuck in the problem solving nature to the point where as soon as we solve one problem, it just creates a vacuum that now there needs to be a new problem that needs to be solved, right? And if we don't become cognizant of that narrative, we'll just forever continue doing that, just nonstop, right? And I do that to the point of exhaustion. I was up until 4 a.m. last night thinking about problems, laying there. I'm like, hi, this fucking sucks. And I woke up and I feel good. Cheers, maybe those problems are being solved, right, within the subconscious right now. Mm. Love you, coffee. Oh goodness. Okay, let's get back to it. I think Joy Vive asked about my foot. Foot's feeling better. I don't know if the thorn is out. It still kind of hurts, but it's better. It is better. Is that Heather? So nice having you. Thank you for joining us, friend. Sending you love. Okay. Nice sofa. I'm excited for the move. Sofa, eat all the gumbo and po' boys with your song for me, please. No, 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 no. Practically. Megadeth was a song. Tout le monde has a song. Tout le monde. Megadeth Hello, everyone. Without the feels of satisfaction or satiation. Oh, baby. So much of this. The stream brought to you by Melts 80s Pink Scarves. This is 80s. I technically dyed this little bit myself. You want to know how? It's kind of embarrassing. When I was dyeing those other two pair of pants that have like the splotches, it was like, what do you call it in English? Bleach. That's the word. We call it jig in South Africa. There was some bleach on the floor, and then I was like, huh, I don't want the bleach to go to waste, I say to myself. And then I think about this pink scarf and the fact that it just being pink is a little bit too bland for me. And I dip it in all of that leftover bleach. Could have turned out better, but it is. Now it has a story in my mind. It looks the way it looks because I did it without the field certification. Okay. Oh, this could be a southernism from my Ma's Hatfield side of the family to a poor baby someone authenticates their struggle and give them space to whine. It's it also used sarcastically sometimes. I feel that. Oh, you poor baby. It's okay. I understand. We're all babies, technically, right? Even if we're 80 years old, you're still a baby to Mama Gaia. Mama Gaia has been around. You know, she's seen some shit. All of us are poor babies to Mama Gaia's splendor. Melty's 700 plus mile move. Melty's 700 plus mile move. We'll be so glad when it's over. Yeah, 700 miles. That's that's like what, 10 hours of driving plus 10 plus hours of driving. Driving any longer than 2 hours to me is uncomfortable. Like I start getting irritated at 4 and I start dissociating at like 6 where I'm like, "Ah, yes, I am a robot listening to information like some sort of podcast playing and I'm just zoning out as I'm moving in a direction. Good luck, dude. Good luck to you. Oh goodness, moving that far. Are you looking forward to where you're moving to? Are you moving for a job? Are you moving for love? Are you moving for the space? Where are you moving, friend? I'm curious. Hey, yeah, Susanna. It's nice seeing you too, friend. Yeah, Javon. Just make sure you thank you, Jovan, for sending love. Man, the problem solving thing hits me so hard. I literally have duck daughter. I literally have duck daughter. Gave duck daughter a huge. Man, your that sentence is melting my brain. I'm gonna read it exactly as I see it. I literally have duck daughter a huge that a girl last night because she problem solved like daddy. Problem solving is life, but as you said, torture. Mm, yeah. I don't know if it's torture. I think it's masculine. I think it's masculine, and what we need is balance, right? We need balance because it's okay to solve problems, but I don't know if it's okay to only want to solve problems, right? Because if you only want to solve problems, it almost primes you to seek problems, right? You're like, oh, well, this is what I do. So I'm going to keep looking, for more problems in order to solve. And then we get stuck going around and around. Heather, here after blowing my mind yesterday, teaching me about my wonky brain. The more you know, dude. I'm happy that you're learning. Doug, massive props to you for being such an incredible parent. The fact that we can teach our kids, dude. Like I think teaching kids how to solve problems is very important, right? I do believe that. But it is a fine line to kind of surf. What problems are in our control, right? What problems can we solve with love instead of with fear or with hatred or with anger or with destruction? Separation is the biggest one, right? Because you can solve problems by separating yourself from them. But I don't know if the problem is actually solved that way, right? You're just avoiding the problem in that case. It's like you might have the problem. Let's say, for example, there's like a gang, of like ruffians in your little city or in your neighborhood. And then every single time you walk to your, apartment, this gang of ruffians kick the absolute shit out of you. I'm sorry for being so derogatory, right? And now you decide, I'm not going to walk that path or walk to my apartment anymore in this way, right? Which means technically you did solve the problem of having yourself having your ass kicked, if you will, right, by these individuals. You'll solve that problem. But the problem of the ruffians existing and them being opportunistic, trying to kick other people's asses, that won't go away, right? So like that's the thing for me where I feel like there's so much polarity happening in my mind these days of problems that we face as humanity, that all of us are facing together right now. And there is this one side of the problem solver that knows the problem can be solved through avoiding going down the path where I get my ass kicked. And then there's the other part of me that is willing, to stand up for something, to fight, to get beaten, right? To get hurt regardless. Because I know the problem isn't going to solve itself by avoiding it alone. And it is significantly harder and it hurts significantly more. But I also don't see the alternative as a reasonable solution, right? Because then I'm just postponing the problem or delegating the problem to someone else, and they might not have as much drive as me to solve that problem. They might not have the capacity to get their ass whooped over and over again and still show up to try and change something. I apparently like having my ass whooped. Like being in a state of discomfort isn't something that I fear anymore. My wrist is still sore, but I still did yoga today, right? I couldn't put my palm down, so I did yoga on my fists instead. You know, I could avoid the problem of my wrist being hurt and me feeling it by not doing yoga, but I would rather not avoid things. I would rather embrace. So far, massive props to you for being such an incredible parent. Thank you for the love. Oh, there it is. So far, I really appreciate it, but I feel super uncomfortable with incredible. You being an incredible parent, super uncomfortable. I try my hardest, but I very often fall short. Brother, Duck Dad, the fact that you have a child, the fact that you are the person that you are, the fact that you are considering these things that we like to talk about, the fact that you value other people's opinions, right? The fact that you talk about your kid, that you want to see her thrive, all of these things point toward being an incredible parent. So even if it might not always feel that way, that is what we see in you, Brother Bear. We see you as an incredible parent. Hello, lovelies. Again, Susanna, it's nice having you. Thank you for asking as well, Joy Vive. It will get better. It always does, right? At the end of my yoga classes, we have this line where we rub our hands together, creating some heat between our palms, and then we place our hands on a body part that is in need of some heat, some healing. And then with that, I say, we know that you, as a human being, have this ability to heal yourself, right? You've had the flu, you've had a cut on yourself, you've had, a sore throat, etc., 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 and then you got better, right? That is possible. So with time and patience, this will be no exception. I just wish I knew why it was happening. I think it might have been the pull-ups. I was overdoing it a little bit last week. Just like, shit. Overdoing it and under eating at the same time usually doesn't help. Mm-mm-mm. Melty, yes, moving back to the culture of New Orleans. You'll have to come visit sometime. America's most European city. New Orleans is definitely one of the ones that called to me the most. But it calls to me not because it's European but calls to me because it's witchy, right? I would I would like to go out, in the middle of the night, see all of the creatures that come out. I'm going to have conversations with them. Ask them why. Why do you believe what you believe? Tell me, please. I want to learn. So yeah, I'll definitely take you up on that. I'll just have to solve problems before I can. Few problems need to be solved. I'm totally a man baby. Me too, dude. I kind of embrace the fact that my inner child is very much active. I feel if it wasn't, I wouldn't be the version of me that I am right now. Oh, man, this coffee is slapping. I didn't drink it. Usually I drink like half my coffee before stream or before yoga, and then I drink the rest of it before I start my stream. But today I was replying to messages. Man, like you friends probably know, that feeling when you get deeper and deeper buried in messages. And the deeper you're buried, the more unwilling you are to actually embrace them again, inevitably burying you even deeper in the messages. And then you actually start, and then it starts flowing, and then it's almost like you can't stop, even though you know you're supposed to go and do something else. Problem solving. All right. As soon as we start problem solving, we don't want to stop. And it's interesting that we got here. Today's stream topic was supposed to be a reminder of a Jesus quote, right? That is pretty popular, where he says, "Me and my God are one, but He is greater than me," right? And listening to this Neville Goddard interpretation of that line, he went, Jesus understood as a person that the kingdom of God was in him, right? And this could be just a story as well. It doesn't have to actually be the whole person, but he understood as a person that the kingdom of God is inside of him. And he realized that there is no separating. But also at the same time realized that the conceiver, the one that is creating the narrative, is fundamentally at a loss, as a lack of information, as a lack of the fullness of the information, and as a result wouldn't be able to completely conceive of the fullness that God is, right? So the you that you are is less than the infinity, right? But that doesn't mean that you are worthless or that you are evil or that you are, to be seen as less. For me, it is this almost like a visualized understanding. Maybe I should draw it for us. Maybe that will help. Let's see if I can upper my brightness. There we go. Make it bigger. Sick. So this is the way I see it. No, that's not a good pen. This is the way I see it. Right? That it starts with that X. And that X to me is your observer, right? The fact that when you look out into the world, there is a cone that you can see in, right? And then when you close your eyes, there is more depth inside, right? So the other side of that inner depth is there, and you are that little intersection point. But because you are that center point of that infinity and you don't have access to the rest of it, God is the infinity, right? So are you, ultimately. But God is like the embodied version of that infinity, right? Where you are that little intersection point. So there is so much depth, right? Like an infinite amount of depth in both directions, emanating out from you in this moment that you don't have access to, and as a result can be seen as less than, right? I don't know if does this make sense? This is like this understanding that I'm trying to share kind of compute. I think of it very much from this perspective of like bandwidth. Like the actual infinity has all of infinity as its bandwidth, right? Like there is a unity in the understanding of all that is, where this version of me is just an intersection point, right? A cutting point between space and time. And my observer is that little cutting point, watching the space and time, ceaselessly move. And even if, as this version of me, I move for infinity, I won't get to experience all of the infinity. Even though I'm the same infinity, that infinity doesn't cease infinitizing, right? Like this, it's so freaking contrived just to even think about it that we stop ourselves. It's too much. It is too much, and maybe that is the point I'm trying to get at. That we don't have to understand everything. We don't have to know exactly what to do. All we have to do is in that intersection point, the point at which you, as being, intersects reality, you should try and make that intersection a loving one, right? The information you perceive on the outside and then the story you tell yourself on the inside, you should make that little point a love point, a truth point, right? Like it should only pass through if it is loving, because it is infinity as well, right? So you can receive an infinite amount of evil, for example, from the infinity, if that is what you open yourself up to, and that is what you seek, right? So from that little point perspective, choose choose love, really, please. Nothing else is going to do anything for you, right? Like I really think of it from this perspective of almost like what's the alternative, you know? Like we can either choose love or we can choose fear and separation. And we feel separate. We feel fear when we're convinced we're separate, right? You feel fear looking into the darkness because the unknown, right? There is something there that I don't know what is there. Something outside of me, right? It can be a potential danger to my being. Where love sees the darkness as just potentiality, right? The void of space isn't evil, it is potential. It encompasses, it allows, it holds. And the points of light aren't necessarily good, but they are contrast, polarity. And then again, you are that intersection point between that darkness and that light. You are the point where those two extremes come together. And what happens, at least in my personal experience, to a lot of people, is they become obsessed with one or the other. I am obviously obsessed with one or the other, right? I choose to be obsessed with the side of infinity that is love, right? To again see this infinity symbol. And then one side of the infinity symbol is true, one side of the infinity symbol is false, right? Polarity, a dark, light, up, down. And in my mind, the ability to orientate, to know from this intersection point where I'm supposed to be pointing myself is love, right? Love is true. Love is my north. Love is my point to which I am going. And it doesn't mean that darkness doesn't exist. Doesn't mean that evil doesn't exist. And I'm not trying to pretend like it doesn't. But it does mean that I get to choose what I will perceive, what I will keep receiving into my being. And it's a massive responsibility. It is. But it's also, I feel, the only one we have control over. Right? It's like It's the ultimate problem. There we go. Coming back to that point. It's the ultimate problem in my mind. How do we choose love when the world makes it super hard, right? Isn't that a good problem to solve? A worthy one? My coffee is so hot. I'm gonna add some water and then drink it like a savage. Chug, look, chug, chug. Just because I'm gonna just say the words coming into my mind. I want all of those caffeine molecules to rush be my receptors and then up the amount of dopamine my brain releases. Because coffee is in fact a stimulant. Yeah. I'm gonna put some of this outside infinity inside my inner infinity, and then from this intersection, new experiences will arise. Skabam! I embrace. Also, I don't want to keep sipping it for the next 2 hours because it's already almost 5, and I will not be able to sleep if I drink coffee too late. Ruffians, I'm happy you like that. Land pirates, Sam. I'm also using land pirates. Land pirates is pretty cool. Sell swords. Man of low moral fiber is my go-to. Men of low moral fiber. For me, it is the uneducated, right? Unfortunately, because education isn't just going to school. At least not to me. Because even though I went to school, I was a ruffian, right? Not into physicality, but mentally, right? I was thinking like a ruffian. Hey Google, define ruffian. Ruffian, a violent criminal or troublemaker. Oh yeah, I was 100,000% a troublemaker, especially in mine. And I had to become educated to different possibilities, right? The problems I was solving for as a ruffian was material, right? Materialistic problem solving, trying to take care of myself or, trying to accumulate more things. And unfortunately, we have been educated to believe that that is what we're supposed to be doing, right? And I think that's a miseducation. So I feel the way we need to be educated this time around is today's stream topic, to realize that every single one of us are an intersection point to the same infinity. And that intersection point is something that me and you share, right? You're not looking from a different place than I am, metaphorically speaking, right? Think about that. That yes, as this consciousness that you are, you have seen different sides of this infinity. You have a different mind space behind you, right? The place from which we look, right? Like, and I ask this question of myself these days. Once you see something, where does it go? Right? You look at something like this tree, and then you look away. Where did the looking at that tree go? Because clearly it's not there anymore, right? Sure, you can remember what it looked like, but the memory of what it looked like is an approximation, isn't the actual looking at it. And there's like a receptivity happening here when it's coming into me right now. And then I look away, and then I can look at you, friends, again. Where did it go? So from that question, I believe it goes to the same place, which is the observer, right? As just an infinite black hole, as a way to see it. And that black hole is something we share. That intersection point is something we share. And and this is like just, I might be completely wrong. I feel if we can educate more people about their responsibility within infinity, kind of like coming to the awareness, getting people to accept that they are the one responsible for the way they feel about things, the way they interpret this infinite experience, the way they interpret their own infinite experience. Only then are we going to be able to move past just the materialistic. Because material things only serve you until a point, right? Like, I am not going to suddenly be twice as happy if I have twice as much money, twice as many pieces of technology, twice as many food items. I mean, like, I can't even make more examples because it's like almost stupid for me to think about it. Like, nothing is going to make me more happy within this external infinity, right? And nothing is necessarily going to make me more happy within my internal infinity. The thing that's going to make me happy is how, from this point of perspective, I look at things. Contentment is the word that comes to my mind in this moment, right? My ability to look at this tree and see beauty instead of look at this tree and see things that need to be changed, branches that needs to be cut, or moss that needs to be taken off, or like bird nests that litter the tree, etc., etc., etc. That ability to look at things and be content, be loving towards it, I feel is how we need to be educated. And nobody ever taught me how to do that, right? Nobody ever taught me how to look at things lovingly. Unfortunately, my family is a family of problem solvers, right? So asking questions about things, I was given logical, and I'm appreciative of this. I'm not trying to throw shade. I was given logical and reductive descriptions and explanations as to what things are and how they work, right? I wasn't encouraged to see beauty. Does this make sense? Right? I was educated to solve problems, not to notice. And I wouldn't change anything, but I am learning how to be differently, how to grow alongside these changes. Merc has a little more self-respect than a pirate, though. A mercenary, I'm guessing. Hey, now, I have come across a couple of female land pirates. Manchester, England. Those birds were strong. That's cool, actually. Don't call chicks birds. Isn't chicks also a type of bird? And I mean, he is a duck. So technically, from his perspective, all women are birds because ducks are birds, right? Right. Uh oh, no, 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 no. Don't get your undies in a bunch. It is from an old video game from the 90s. Men of low moral fiber was a joke because the pirates in question were in fact not working at the time. Oh, I wasn't tripping out about it either. Like, I was interested in seeing all of your friends' like perspectives, and men of low moral fiber, I could understand it, but I felt like I don't know if they have low moral fiber. I just maybe they don't know, right? Like they're literally uneducated. Like, if you grew up in a family where love wasn't true, right? You didn't feel loved by your family. You didn't feel loved by your parents. You were ceaselessly told to be better, right? Because of how not good enough you are. Then your education was one of not being good enough, right? And that can mess with your morals, to say it in so many ways. Like, I was like trying to reduce it as well, Sam. Like, which came first? Did a lack of morals come first, or did a lack of education come first? Hey, Ferrio, Sezzy, and Nick John Wilson. I don't know if your friends are here with me, but sending you love. It's nice having you here. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Do 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 do. Joy Viva was using a vocal vernacular to flavor. Whoa. How would chicks be any different than birds? I think she knew. Like she was joking. Yeah. Man sucks. I'm just rifling. Melt, are you saying you have been getting sick lately? Perhaps I misunderstood. No, not really. I don't think I've been getting sick. I have been. I stepped in a thorn recently, and that was kind of hurting, and my wrist is hurting a little bit. But other than that, not really any troubles. Hey, Larry Hill. It's nice having you, friend. Sending you good vibes as well. When we rub hands together in yoga, I ignore all my body pains and put my hand on my heart, once on my brain, and the body will figure it out. I like that, Duck Dad. I've done that one as well, where I just like I place my hands like on my heart afterwards, or like on my forehead if I have like a little bit of a headache or something. And then the other one that I like doing is just placing my hands on the earth. If I have nothing hurting personally, I'm like, okay, I have all of this built up healing energy. Guess I'll just give it to the world instead. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Please. There we go. Same dog. Some awesome serendipity there. Nice. I'm so happy to hear it. Like to all of you friends. Shan as well. Of course you do. Jovan triplets. Hello, brother. Hey, Raiden. It's nice having you here, friend. Just the fact that we're all individually synced up. That kind of stuff brings my brain such brr. Yeah. Right? Like I feel it is, and I said this to I think Melita in the chat today. It's like we are all collectively becoming awakened to our nature, right? That every single one of us already know the truth in so many words, right? The truth of love. We know it. It's on our hearts. It is the center of that intersection point. It is the fundamental, deepest truth. But that that X can be filled with things, right? You can add layers as to what you want to see in this world, right? This observer of mine isn't happy if I don't see the layer of love, if I don't see the layer of comfort, if I don't see the layer of people appreciating me, if I don't see the layer of people, being one way instead of another, if I don't see the layer of the world being this way or that way, right? Layers, 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 layers of how you want to see this infinity that you're staring out on. And then the same thing is true for your inner world, where you apply these layers to your own psyche and to your own story. And I don't know that it's all negative necessarily, but it can become negative when we become attached to these layers. For instance, one of the layers, the filters that I have on the inside of myself is the filter of negativity or anger when it comes to my expression of what others are going through or what others are projecting at me, right? And then when I notice on the inside a narrative arise that I don't feel is beneficial or indicative of growth to my heart, then I change that story. I interrupt it and I shift that story to something that I feel is in line with the filter of love that I'm trying to apply on the inside. But when I become attached to being one way or another, then now instead of seeing a negative thought arise in me as an opportunity for me to be loving, I can see it as proof that I am evil, right? See the polarity? Now, instead of, seeing challenges, problems in the outside world as something that you can bring, great joy to yourself, purpose to yourself with solving, now problems are insurmountable, and you are hopelessly without power in the face of it. One inspires change, one ensures apathy. Which do you want to choose? Yeah, 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 yeah. The queer fools are like, yeah, oh, yeah, fuck you. Yeah. Just a fact. Love so much. I think choosing love is an easier road to take when you are around people who also choose love. The space is love, which makes choosing love in my day easier. I very much get affected and changed by the emotions of others around me. I have a 5-hour energy at 8 last night. I take warning labels as a personal challenge. It's like, don't take 5 hour energy, you know, 6 hours before you plan on sleeping. And you're like, oh yeah, or what though, or what? Does it anyway. Yeah, for me, caffeine like kind of like brings my mind into the state of just hyper alert problem solving. So I have to be mindful. There's a few flowers growing on that little tree, and the aroma that it is washing over me is to die for. Smells like roses. So nice. Same, Doug. Same. It can be exhausting, but it can be exhilarating. So I try to surround myself with good company and be good company to others. Thank you, friends. Like I have noticed that this is what we do in this space, right? And the fact that you friends still see that just means to me that it's still true. You friends do the same for me, right? Like I feel in this moment surrounded by people that choose love, that choose to show up, right? And that cannot be taken from me. Even if it's only me and you, only us two, right? Only me and you, two people in the space. We can still do what we're doing right now. We will still be amongst people that choose love, right? And that gives me hope. Nobody can take that from us lest we let go of it. Meditation time is important to mitigate some of those effects. I don't know if I missed a bit, Sam. Try sometimes. My energy exhausts others. Nah, I'm not exhausted just yet, Jovan. I've known you since day 34, and I still am absolutely stoked to see your name in chat. Your energies make me smile. I know you. So much love to you, Shan. Jovan, I'm also incredibly exhausting. Same here. I think all of us probably are because the energy that we bring into the world is a lot, right? And it's hard to process a lot of information no matter who you are. And some people take pride in processing information, right? Like they see the problem of a lot of information as a challenge to embrace, to be like, yeah, there's so much happening right now, and I love it. I'm melting, and I love it. And other people are like, oh, I'm melting. This is the worst thing ever. I'm gonna need to get myself out of here. And the circumstance can be the exact same, right? Where you look from, what your perception of your intersection with this infinity is, will determine your experience. Is that a merman I see? See you, friend, all the way from South Africa towards into the mountains of Montana. Sending you love, dude. Thank you for joining us. Sam, not sure if your message was for me or in response to Mel, but either way, it is true. We do exchange energy in interactions. Having control over how we're affected by it is important. Meditation helps to remain grounded and balanced. I need that reminder every now and then. Same here. It's just being able to sit with the narrative, right? Sitting down and then watching yourself tell yourself stories and then bringing yourself back to breath. And then bringing yourself back, right? And then you notice this ability grow in you to do that with others as well. It's something that I did with Christian a lot. Like, Christian likes challenging me. Christian is the person in this world who has communicated more spicily than any other person in my life ever has, right? I have been told I am stupid, fat, and unaware more by Christian than I would tolerate by any other person. And I have never, not even for a second, considered him trying to hurt me. I have always seen his perceived attacks as a call to awareness, right? Like, if someone calls me stupid, what does that create in me, right? From my intersection point, having this depth on the inside, this depth of feeling, this depth of a past, and then seeing this fractal on the outside, how in this point of intersection, right, within this infinity, how do I feel? And then noticing how I feel, why do I feel that way? And if I can answer myself why I feel that way, I can ask myself the question of, do I want to continue feeling that way? Right? It is going to be a choice how I react to that experience. And when he says something that kind of like pushes one of my buttons, the first thing I do before reacting is breathe. Just breathe. In the same way where you have like a someone else can be the and then if you hear something that you don't like hearing, instead of going right into a retort, go and then reply. Just that. Just that small little intermission can change the entire energy, right? And meditating has helped me more than anything with that ability. It's like a muscle. This nice way that I heard someone explain it, that every single time you start having your thoughts and you bring yourself back to your breath, it's like a rep. I believe Sam was the one that taught me this. It's like a repetition, like you're drawing in your mind, right? And then you bring it back. Bring it back again. And if you can keep doing that, you will become strong, right? Stable, stoic, stoic, very stoic. Jovan, extroverted personalities, I imagine, need to spend a little bit more time taming their throat and solar plexus. Emotional muchness, however, is linked to the heart, which must carefully be dealt with. Yeah, I feel that. I tend to be that way as well. The way that I kind of mediate is I have like short sporadic conversations with people. Instead of overwhelming them ceaselessly, I overwhelm them temporarily and then I leave. And that seems to be a means of transmuting that energy. But if I'm attached to them responding in a certain way, then is when I get hurt and I end up messing with myself. Those are chakras that I definitely feel drawn to balancing most. I teeter somewhere in the middle of introvert and extrovert. The more people, the more I can fall into a nervous pattern. Too many perspectives, I short circuit. I kind of felt that this weekend as well, Jovan. It was a little bit much. But as I mentioned, I could overwhelm and then leave, right? Unfortunately, the conversations I have tend to be a little bit more existential than people might be comfortable with, right? Like people unironically told me that this is too much for them having conversations this weekend. Hey Maxine, so nice to see you, friend. Love you, friend. Yeah, they were like, this is I don't want to talk about this. Like one of the things that I was talking about with people is like the fact that the future is feminine. I was like, you do realize the patriarchy will fall. Like, it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when, right? For 10,000 years, we have been perpetuating dominator culture, right? The alpha dominating those weaker than him, right? This mindset that if you're not the one dominating, you are the one dominated. That is where we are right now. I believe we are slowly but surely moving towards a mentality where compassion will come first, right? Love will come first, to the point where instead of us trying to dominate each other, we're going to try and nurture each other, right? That feminine, mother like energy, nurturing society, nurturing people. Like I heard this beautiful fractal, let's call it, of violence. You know, like what is violence? Violence can be the threatened, attempted, or actual damage against a person or buildings, right? But we don't see people dying on the street without food as violence. We don't see people not being able to afford their insulin. Unfortunately, insulin is officially, I believe, do correct me, $35 a month now for our American friends. Like they actually did change that, right? So we are moving towards that compassion, right? Because it used to be violent. People were paying 3,000 US dollars for their insulin a month, 3,000 US dollars, and now it's capped at 35 bucks, right? That is what I mean when I believe that our world is changing, because the dominator culture wouldn't have changed anything, right? And fuck you if you're gonna die without insulin. Keep paying the $3,000 is dominator culture. Not everybody can afford that. Let's cap it at $35. That is compassionate culture, right? And that is like a small example of that. The same thing with like there's multiple different ways to kill a person. Uh, Shoot them, stab them, let them go hungry without food for months, send them to the front of a war, drive them to suicide, work them to death, right? There are many ways to kill a person, but only some ways of killing people are seen as wrong, and some aren't. And I feel that is a symptom of a culture where dominating is seen as the way it should be, right? That people are suffering because they're not strong enough to not suffer, right? That doesn't sound like a healthy society. That doesn't sound like an awareness of the fractal that we share, right? That individual human happiness is contributing to overall human happiness. And more people being more happy means that on a literal level, there's more happiness in the world if we make people happy instead of sad, right? There's like a plethora of things to be done to ensure happiness, and we can get into that on another stream, but things need to change. It's clear that the things aren't working as they are right now. And then, like like saying to your friends yesterday, I was having conversations with people that were causing me extreme concern. Young people, dudes that were 17 up to like 23, so stuck in patriarchy, so stuck in religion, so stuck in believing that women are supposed to be subservient to men, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, what do you mean you need to be served by a woman? Right? And he's like, yeah, God, this is how God says it's supposed to be. I'm like, bruh, have you considered, right? And I know this is a stretch, but have you considered that the people who wrote that books might have had an agenda, right? Like that's the first thing you're supposed to do when you're noticing something that feels less than loving, right? You don't have to have a conspiracy theory if there are people benefiting from that thing happening, right? Men used to send women out of the house when they were in their periods because they were seen as dirty, right? And you want to go back to that, dude? Yes, he. Like a part of me wanted to fight him. Of course, I didn't. I would have kicked his ass. I was like, you said what about women? You said what about? My mom is a woman. Oh, my sister is a woman. Most of my friends are women, dude. I'll fight you. I'll fight you, bro. Don't say shit like that. But then I'm aware, right? Like his physical expression is feminine as well. So what's the point in fighting him? I would be fighting the same feminine that I'm trying to defend. And then I'm like, oh yeah, all right. Why am I responding in this way? Like I'm noticing the dominator in me, right? Trying to dominate in order to defend. And I can use that to justify dominating everybody because it's going to be good for them, right? And that's what happened. That is what happened to us as a society. But that isn't what serves us, right? We're just like a bunch of people trying to dominate each other. Competition, creating more separation, more pain, so much more pain. Please, please, human beings, stop it. Calamitous cheese, I see you, friend. It's nice to have you here. Let me see. I think I missed a few. Like your perspective, just getting bogged down. Unless I can blend with the crowd. I thrive in concert like settings. Yeah, me too. Concert like settings. It feels like people are there for a unified reason, right? Like they're there to melt into the music. And there's no expectation for you to be something else other than a perceiver, an observer to what's happening. It gets overwhelming. Jovan, that is totally how I experience interaction. I get cold and extrovert, but I'm like, is it really that if I need to leave and recover doing absolutely nothing because my brain hates it? So, Dugdad, I feel a lot of resonance of what you friends are saying because I see myself in the same fractal of I love being amongst people and having conversations, but even during this weekend, I would go through stints of, you know, meaningful, deep conversations with people, and then I would go and sit in the grass alone, and then I would go back and have conversations again, and then I would remove myself and swim, and I would go back and have conversations, and then I would remove myself and dance, right? So I feel again balance. Balance is what we're trying to get good at, not necessarily being something, right? Like we're all uh, introverts and extroverts. The intersection point between the introvert and the extrovert. And sometimes we like the energy we receive from being introverted, and sometimes we like the energy we receive from being extroverted. But that changes, right? And we are the one that is that's observing that change. Instead of becoming attached to being like, oh yeah, I'm an introvert or I am an extrovert, and then tripping out when we find ourselves alone as an extrovert, right? Oh, this is not what I'm supposed to be experiencing because I'm an extrovert. I should be around people. Vice versa. Oh, I'm an introvert and I shouldn't be experiencing all of these people because I'm an introvert. Instead of being attached to one or the other, feel the balance to be like, usually I enjoy spending time with myself. It is good that I get to have this contrast to remember again why I like spending time with myself, right? And the same thing the other way around for introverts, for extroverts, to spend time with themselves, to spend time in the quiet self so that they can be aware of why they need to be around others. Renee said, hey friends, again, merman, love to you. Bob's lesser known, but equally as awesome brother. Steve Marley. I like it. Yo, how's your relationship with your third eye? Joe, how's your relationship with your third eye? I see nuclear explosions, at least right now. Good morning again, Maxine. It's nice having you here, friend. Sam, I'm getting better, but I can definitely get more better. I feel super intuitive and collected, but then I'm shown later that if it wouldn't have been a bit more still, then I could have put the pieces together better, if that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. But I also believe that that is just the way it is. Hey, Mononoke. Nice having you here, friend. It's been a while. It's nice seeing you now in this moment. So, to answer your comment on feeling in hindsight, looking back at the way we solved the problem, knowing that we could have solved it better, I feel that's just the nature of being this intersection, moving through this lifetime, right? Because as you keep moving as this intersection point that is the infinity, through the infinity, you gain more perspective, allowing you to better solve the problems that you're facing right now. So you're always going to be playing catch up to how well you can solve problems, because the version of you that you are 1 hour from now has more information to solve the problems you have with than the version of you that you were an hour ago, and etc. etc. Hello, Bella, Yolanda. I'm happy that you feel my words as true. Sending love to you. Mm, love. Nice. Yeah. I am trying to speak about love. If it feels as true, that message is on your heart too. Melty, you look sharp today, friend. Pink and black on you is a total vibe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Being a person has been hard for me as of late. I feel I need to be better at personing. And the fact that you can see me, and that you like what you see, makes me be like, okay, good. I'm still doing fine, I guess. Personing all right. I can't taste your remedy in the water, but I know it's there. I can see the frequencies of the flowers floating between my water molecules. Let me get back to it. Jovan, if the third eye is overstimulated, it could result in what you've been experiencing with information overload, and only being comfortable in settings that make those observations impossible. I can see that as well. Doc Dad saying, Steve, I want to hear him tell me what it's like being Bob Marley at the time of the Bob Marley. Yeah. Bob Marley had a rough life. Like, that dude got taken for a ride. Like, his likeness got actually stolen. Like, I feel like he's a teacher to me in ways that he probably never intended to be. You know, interesting. His intersection point with this infinity gets to educate me, knowing that he is me, understanding that I don't want to make the mistakes I've made before. Man, human beings. We are learning by observing. Steve, it's a tough fact. Some hold fundamentally different perspectives on life. It's all our programming, what we were exposed to, etc. Can't expect to make everyone value the same thing. You're right, Calamitous Cheese. And that can be disheartening to me sometimes, right? I feel like a sense of worry that I can't help more people. Like, it was impossible for me this weekend to get people to understand where I was coming from. I think Stefan, one of the friends, I could see him like clicking what I was sharing. One of the things that I was sharing, for example, is my perspective on God, right? Like, they were sharing with me why they believe in Christianity, and, mentioning beautifully that it's a relationship to them. And I was like, okay, I get what you're saying, but the way that I see it is still in the same way, except I don't feel the need for a middleman, I tell them. Where what I believe is we, as the observer, are the masculine side of God, right? The unchanged. Your observer, the part of you that is aware, your awareness of being, hasn't changed this whole time. The things you are aware of have changed, right? Body, mind, internal stories, external circumstances. These things keep changing. But the observer hasn't changed at all. Will never change, right? And it doesn't even need you to be aware of its own being, right? It is fundamentally always. And then, once that is established, once you recognize that observer in yourself, realizing that the things that you are observing, right? The observed and the observer are one, but they are polarity to each other. As in, if the masculine part of me is the one that is observing, the observed to me is the feminine, right? And then that is my relationship with God. As God, loving God. That intersection point, right? The masculine part of God, as in the inner, right? The inner eye looking out, and then the feminine part of God, the external part pushing in, right? My fleshy version of myself. And I shared with them the extension of this understanding being my body, the fact that I see my body as a feminine expression, to the point where if I look at myself in the mirror, I try to remind myself, painfully so, that what I'm looking at is my beloved, right? Because this body, this world, is an extension of God, the infinity, as femininity, the polarity of femininity, expressed reality, and that I'm supposed to love myself as the divine feminine, right? If I'm going to take a partner one day, I would want to love her purely, right? From my observed point of view. What I want to see in her is love, fundamentally. And my body isn't differently, right? Again, if I were to look at myself in the mirror, what do I say to myself? And then taking that exact narrative, would I be okay with saying those things to the person that I love? Right? If I saw my partner naked, am I going to comment on all of the things that need to be changed? You know, how bad her skin looks, how the rolls on her tummy, needs to go away, etc., 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 etc. The things I say to myself, or am I going to love her, right? Am I going to, celebrate the beauty that I see instead of trying to find problems to solve? And then that perspective, that awareness, this relationship I have with the feminine is allowing me a depth of love for myself and for my world that I have not been allowed by any other religion, especially not Christianity. Christianity to me is the opposite of that relationship, because now I cannot have a direct relationship with God lest I go through this mediator, right? And I explained to them that that does not make sense to me. In my personal experience, it would ruin the relationship I have with what I consider God. It would only reduce my bandwidth to be able to love. And yeah, I'm happy to share that little fractal. Cannon Man! Gang gang, sending you love, friend. You like weed? Is that where the cannon comes from? I'm curious. Uncomfortable observations impossible. Okay, here we go. Bob Marley, the fact. 11:11s. I'm probably a little bit late for that now. Bob is to the islands as Steve is to the mountains. Both vibing, high fiving. That makes sense, Sam. I definitely recharge in understimulation, isolation. I've hidden in the bathroom stall at weddings before. We're not supposed to do that. Oopsie. I thought that was normal. I think introvert and extrovert is a limiting concept. Is it even real? I think it is polarity, right? It is. It's a part of the same thing, but it is an extreme that we kind of sense, feel the balance. Yes, exactly. Morning again, man. Okay. It comes down to how we handle various levels of stimulation. Cheese. Each person requires their own approach. Agreed. Duck, I wish he were still here to ask. He passed in 2020. He is sorely missed. An amazing man indeed. Absolutely. I feel my Yuna phone seems to be dying. I feel like it's a state of being, says Jovan. Almost like a spectrum that we can float around on. You're right, Cheese. We wouldn't put ourselves in a box, but just observe where we are and what we aim to be. Exactly. And what you aim to be is how you get there, right? Like you cannot hope to hit a target if you don't aim at it, right? You have to actually aim at something if you're to reach it. Otherwise, we're just going to be that intersection point within all of infinity, right? That is how you feel lost, because then you think you don't have any control. Is that a Dan? Dan, dude, I was thinking about you today. I was like specifically thinking about you today, going through like an inner narrative. And here you are, dude, sending you so much love. It's nice having you, man. It takes work to understand. Oh, I think I missed a few again. I think it's a conceptual thing people get stuck on. Exactly. It's people like to believe they know who they are, right? The ego's job is to convince you that you're not everything, that you are in fact just me, you know? If you point at yourself in the mirror and you say me, your ego is trying to convince you that that's who you are. Who you think you are is thoughts that you have been repeating your entire life, right? And to realize that, we kind of equip ourselves to tell ourselves a story that is actually beneficial instead of derogatory, right? Because if I tell myself the story that I am an introvert, it comes with the polarity, meaning that I don't like talking to a bunch of other people. Now, when I put myself out into the world and I'm expected to talk to other people, now because of this limiting belief that I held, now it's going to be harder for me to actually talk to people, right? Instead of realizing it is polarity, it is a balance that we have within ourselves, and you can switch into different modes of being and switch back. Like it's a skill, I believe, even. Like socializing isn't something that you're inherently good at. It is something you get good at by actually practicing as well. Like all things. Like all things. Making French soup in the slow cooker tomorrow. I got all the ingredients together. French soup sounds like a whole vibe. French onion soup. Steve, I know that it to be true. Much apologies for any tough feelings that brought up. It's okay. Thank you for the love. It takes work to understand that it actually takes a lack of work. The art of balance is accompanied by fluidity and accountability. Beautifully said, Joe Schmo. It's nice having you, bro. Sending you good vibes too. Out of here with that dirty tack cheese. Some bread for dipping. Oh, lol. Getting hit with the treadmill later. Sounds nice, dude. Balance, right? Eat the soup, move the body. Be able to move the body because you've eaten the soup, etc., etc. Balance. Joe, that is completely true. The art of balance is accountability is accompanied by fluidity and accountability. I feel that. The art of balance. Because you have to flow, right? Because sometimes what it means to be balanced today might be different to what it means to be balanced tomorrow, right? That I might be balanced in my non reactivity today, but a situation might arise that will shift my set point, my infinity, where I have to create different balances, in order to make sure that things stay, at least the way we want it to. Did you know science has shown water can be affected by emotions from people? Life is weird, of course it can. I have a little book that Maxine sent me called, let me go get it. I've forgotten the title of the book. Here it is. The True Power of Water. So I'll just read this little bit where he goes, we must pay respect to water and feel love and gratitude, receiving the vibrations of a positive attitude. Then water changes, you change, and I change, because both you and I are water. What a gangster, right? So he did studies. Let me show you, friend. Yeah. It studies where he says different words or write different words. This is stress, right? And then when you freeze that water, it forms different crystals, basically patterned based on the energy that you put into it prior. So stressed to relaxed, a little bit more orderly. Uh, Worrying towards easygoing, right? Look at those crystals changing. Depending on what energy you put into the world, what energy you put into yourself, the words you say become like it's vibrations, right? And like water vibrates with you. So every single word you say becomes encoded into your body. Every single word I say is becoming encoded into yours. Like your little speaker is creating waves. Those waves are hitting your body and then transmitting into your water, creating all of these energies. That's why I take so much responsibility to choose love, because I feel like if I didn't, I would explode. Water labeled love and gratitude. Look at that. And then there's more in the back as well. I want to show you. Some of them they play music too. Relief from irritability, downward waves. Oh, this one helps with joints. Yeah, physical Haidu joints. I need to get this one. I need to play myself Swan Lake Act 2. Hey Google, can you play me Swan Lake Act 2 by Tchaikovsky? Yeah. I wonder if I can get copyright stricken for this. Yossi! This thing is an hour and 55 minutes long. I think this is a movie. Yeah, this dude is dancing. Man has some legs on him. Sicketh, my joints are healed. So yeah, be mindful of your water, dear friends. You are a majority water after all. Put in good vibrations. Man, I am having a hard time catching up a little bit. Do 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 do. Be like wind passes through the trees. Emotions, dark dad. These are gifts. Love is true. Divine Feminine is a good Mac Miller album. Envision yourself in the same way that you envision Mother Nature. Be not committed or opinionated. Be ever present and ever changing. We are elemental creatures of a human shell. I've ruined relationships because of focusing on those problems in my slightly younger days. Yeah, we can ruin a lot of things by becoming too obsessed with the problems that they hold. Oh my goodness, this is something I've been looking forward to for so long. I was working at a startup which kept me from tuning in every day. But we had our money. Oh goodness, are you serious? We had our money in SVB and it was late. Oh, bro. Bro, Dan, dude. Oh shit. Like I watched the video on SVB today, right? Silicon Valley Bank. Like today, I was like, what is this piece of information? And then I got, and now I understand exactly what you're talking about. And then you come into this space, having been affected by that fractal. I was wondering if any of you friends were affected by that fractal. Dude, Doc, Dan, bro, that fucking sucks. Look at this cutie patootie in the background as well. I'm so sorry. I'm happy you're here though. I'm looking forward to spending some more time with you. That means I can return to stream every morning for the next 6 weeks. Good. I'll have like a little checkbox. Every day I'll mark off Dan was here. The space is so much love. Dan, holy crap, sorry to hear that. He sounds so happy though. At least he's getting like a 6 week severance package. And I mean, Dan has skills that are now pretty valuable. So I'm sure he'll get work soon again. Suckage for your startup, Dan. Love is true. Then I will continue my journey into coding bootcamp. You're gonna start coding, dude? That's fire, Doc. An opportunity for new experiences, absolutely. I remember in 2012, I got laid off 2 days before the World Cup. Watch every single match, happy as a clam. It's like, yeah, this is nice actually. I get to relax now. Almost needed this tattooed on my forehead to remember. Which one is that, Calamitous Cheese? I don't know if it was something that I said. Potentially it was. I'm happy that we can remind each other at least. Tuning in here is like taking a shower, but for my brain, I love you. I love you, dude. Thank you for letting those layers melt. You know, all of those little layers of separation that we've convinced ourselves of get to melt with these streams. Thank you for consciously evolving, dude. Like I love you so much, Dan. I'm impressed of how you've spun the situation. Adaptability is everything. You got it. Oh yes. I must go and feed a wild duckling. Love you, dude. We'll see you in 24 hours from now. Cheers, Duck Dad. Dan is important for context clues. Is this Star Wars tattoo Dan? Swagger Dan? I think this is Swagger Dan. At least I believe Swagger Dan. This is Swagger Dan. Yeah, of course. Poopsie, exactly. Brother Bear, have a blessed day. Thank you, kitty action. Is kitty action happening as well? Look at them kitties. Kitty is licking her foot. You now phone is an idiot. Yeah, 6 weeks, but same difference. Did I miss a bit? Noise. It's Globama time for the next 6 months. I'm digging it down. Yeah, I need to read. I need to read that. Read it, Ramon. Okay, it's really cool. This is a gift from Maxine that she sent me. Like it's something that I've been doing. I've been like saying loving words at my water for a long time, and then she sent me this book, just reaffirming we are water. In my research, it became clear that water improves or deteriorates, reflecting the information it takes in. This led me to believe that we human beings are also affected by the information we take in, right? Because 70% of the adult body is water. At human conception, a fertilized egg is 96% water. At birth, a baby is 80% water, and as the child matures, the percentage drops and it stabilizes at about 70% when the individual reaches adulthood. In other words, we live our lives mostly as water. The essence of a human being is water, right? That's why we encourage each other to drink water. It's why we speak loving words at our water. It's why we speak loving words at each other. Love is true. Love is true. Context clues. You win Bama? Oh, Joe Schmo. Like, this is old jokes. Talking about Lobama and Swagger. I need to read that. Surely be back after I work through in this educational program. You got this, dude. Let us know how it goes, as you go through it as well. That's what I thought. Gotta say, we definitely could go kayaking if we're in Bama. I just watched a documentary on Gaia called The Secret Water. So you're also in the fractal right now, Shan. Calamitous Cheese, you saying so. I appreciate you saying so. I have good people around me who have support and wisdom to offer me. One friend has been encouraging me to see the opportunity as opposed to the loss. Exactly. That's the best way to do it, dude. Growth, right? Seeing, noticing from your intersection point this circumstance of losing your job, and then being like, well, this means that I'll get to experience something else. Sure, you would have experienced something else with losing your job either way, but kind of placing your focus, your intention, your attention on the embracing of change instead of the suffering of change is the best way to appreciate the change. It's so wild to know that that book was in my fractal and now in yours, Melty. And I thank you for that actively, Maxine. Thank you, friend. Thank you for manifesting a physical object, right? Like Maxine used to have this piece of book in her hands, right? Across the world. And then by her action, she was able to send it to me all the way here in South Africa. Something that would take kings, actual kings, months, right, to do. We can now do with a few dollar rudies. Yeah, it's crazy. I'll surely be back to the Education Program. Thank you, dude. We look forward to seeing more of you. Oh, good music. Secret lifeblood of all we know. Water. Breathe your life into the water that breathes life into you. Random question. Did anyone watch Last of Us? I think I watched the first episode. The whole wormy mycelium bits coming out of the mouth triggers me, dude. That shit is too much. Oh goodness. Neil deGrasse Tyson suggested that being water might be why we're so affected by the moon's gravity pull. How about that? I love the moon. Last night, she came up very late, and every single time I went outside, I could just see the stars so bright. And then when the moon showed up, it was like on the tip of the Milky Way. And I was just like, yeah. And it was kind of like casting a little bit of a halo as well around itself. My company also has their money at SVB. They're trying hard to get it out, but we shall see. Luckily, our investors are paying our payroll in the interim. Okay, good. I'm sorry to hear that as well, Griffin. Yeah, and crypto is exploding right now because of it as well, right? Trust in banks because they keep making the same motherfucking mistakes. They keep doing the same shit. The people that fucking crash our economy doing the exact same nonsense that SVB crashed for, they're doing it again. These banks are getting away with crime, right? Violence against the entire world, violence against startups. As you said, like a part of this video that I watched, a woman who had all of her investment in SVB now has to close her entire company, right? Like imagine you work your blood, sweat, and tears into manifesting your dream. You keep your money in a bank, which is supposed to be, you know, a place of safekeeping instead of holding on to cash, which sounds like sanity. And then it disappears. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Oh, we're cool. Now what? You know, guess I'll just not have a business anymore or whatever. LT, my company. I started listening to different frequency music when I shower. I feel like I'm showering in healing waters. I'm so happy that you're saying exactly that, Shan. I took a shower late last night, which I usually don't do. God, I was missing you, dude. Happy to see you. And I was having that moment of like, yes, healing waters washing over me. Like kind of like thinking about that card, you know, the one of the rivers and the. You probably think about the same one. I know you. I know you do, Shan. Oh, I'm feeling giddy. We are water. We live in a water bubble, literally. Like there's water in the air right now. You're inhaling water as well, and a gas bubble. Then and the Mariah's here two fart bubbles, and then Gup is like, "What? Who says fart? Who summons me?" So much love to you, Mariah. Sending you and the boys love too. It's nice having you here. Love you, Mariah. Too late, Gob. Someone else got there first. Exactly, Mel. I love you. Love you, homies. Gob, so many hugs and stuff. Hugs to all of you. Thank you, friends, for embracing one another. You friends give me hope. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You know, I know things are hard right now for all of us. Like, it's so clear. It is so clear that we are, as a collective, going through a transition that is weird, different, that is beyond our capacity to know what we're supposed to do. And it will bring up this part of us that wants to solve problems, right? Thinking that if we solve problems, this change that is coming is going to be problem free. And I see in you, friends, this willingness to realize that instead of seeing the problems, we choose to try and see love, you know, see one another, right? That you can 100% look at a person and see a problem, right? Or you can look at a person and see divinity, right? See love, see capacity for growth, see opportunity, see potential. And you friends, at least to me, seem to be choosing love instead of problems more often than not. We're gonna grow, we're gonna get strong, and before we know, this world is going to be different. Peppy, lief je hoeft er? Alsjeblieft. Alsjeblieft hoeft hij. Alsjeblieft niet, hè. Je raas baie. Je raas, lief je hoeft er. Voor wat blaf jij? Huh? Over blaf jij, Woofie? She's barking at nothing, Eva. Eva's also like, what? Something happening? Is there things to bark at? Can I bark at something? Smiling big this morning. Love you, Jovan, so much, as you know. Too late, go. Someone else will read it. Individual liquid sacks of warmth and love. The fact that we are 70% water and we can make sounds at each other. Like my water hasn't been that vocal and it's 100% water. What am I saying? I don't know. Love you, shiny Scubaloma flowers, as we love you, you skibidi bomb skibidi bomb skibidi. I'm trying to understand what that I just said means. It's like a god emperor of skibop. Skibop. Individual liquid sacks, love you all. This place is starting to feel like home. We love you though, Isana. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me, friends, that this space means something to you. Like there are a lot of interpretations of what's happening right now. And some of these interpretations that are shared with me, really, like I was in tears today reading someone's interpretation of what's going on. Because it was hurting me to see them perceiving everything that we're doing as less than, right? What we're doing, less than love. And all of you friends, every single one of you today just brought me back to knowing what it is we already know. Love is true. Love is true. Love and squishes and shiny fruit and sunshine and sweet smells and happy dances for all of you beautiful critters. I like you guys. We like you. Giving Brother Joshmo a big old hug. Thank you, dude. We'll pull a card. Card time. Hugs to you too, Mononoke. Let's see. What shall the universe say with sacred geometry? Out of all of the things that this universe has expressed, this will be it. Shiny fruit. You like shiny fruit? Ooh. Ooh. Right? I properly talked about this today. I see brown and yellow. Wow. Wow. Joel, the fact that you pick brown, dude. Like brown is the last color that anybody would pick. And yet, look at that, dude. Mama Gaia in this depiction is a lady with brown skin. The earth has a lot of brown as well. Look at those yellow lines, dude. Look at those yellow grid lines connecting each other. This is one of my favorite cards. Gaia Grid, right? Shannon watched, the water thing on the Gaia channel as well. Yeah, right? And I was like tripping out talking about my perception, this intersection point, the observer being one side, all of us observing. Mama Gaia being the observed, the divine feminine, right? Needing to be loved, seeing ourselves as the divine feminine, loving ourselves the way we would love our divine feminine, love Mama Gaia. Yo! Skabow! Inverted triangles. Look at that, dude. Look at those things. How sicketh. Gaia Grid, the moon. Look at the moon and the stars and the thunder and the clouds. Purple and green. There's definitely green on that thing. And there's very much purples here as well. Kind of like in this rim. Hey Lolo, sending you love too. Okay, just here in time, right? For the card, Gaia Grid. You want to hear what it means? Card number 58. Gaia Grid, Earth Wisdom and Fellowship. Griffin with the swish. Swishy, swishy. Several cultural traditions identify energy grids within our planet. Gaia is the consciousness of Mother Earth, here seen holding the planetary grid in her beautiful lap. The Earth grid, or Gaia grid, is associated with geomancy, ley lines, and the unified field theory. Hey Google, define the unified field theory, just so that your friends can hear what this means. Unified field theory in particle physics is an attempt to describe all fundamental forces and the relationship between elementary particles in terms of a single theoretical framework. In physics, forces can be described by fields that mediate interactions between a separate objects. Separate, right? Okay. Losing my mind back to not being lost. Like the fact that these things are so succinct of what we're talking about in these streams, it melts my brain. Like even if I was like really trying, right? If I like spent hours writing scripts and then I, sneakily pick the right card to read these things, I don't even know if I would be able to do it so perfectly. The geometry, most often represented as a dodecahedron, and embodies. Wait a second. The geometry is most often represented as a dodecahedron and embodies fellowship, community, and our collective unconscious, highly activated vortices and sacred sites abound at places where these geometries intersect. More, yes, more. Migration routes and tectonic shifts move along these paths of energy. By pulling this card, you are asked to view the way that energy moves and to observe the choices in your life that strengthen or diminish your energy. What brings you to your fullest potential? And where does that happen? Where are places you feel comfortable and those that may seem to sap your power? As you choose a home on the planet and unite with Earth wisdom, you will activate your place on the planetary grid and realize resonance with the spirit of place. Our beloved Loizana literally used the words, this place is feeling more like home, right? The spirit of place feels like home. It's the home you choose, as you choose a home on the planet. Fellowship can be a means of connecting you through personal contact, travel, or technology to people and information that will show you exactly what you need to learn and experience at this moment in time. Yeah. Love is true. Love is true, right? No matter what this experience holds, no matter how hurt we get, no matter how angry we feel that things aren't changing, no matter how frustrated, especially the frustration, because frustration gets us to this point of being like, this is our time, right? This is our time. Yeah, we're gonna be frustrated. We're gonna get angry a little bit. Things are stuck, but we are here to melt things. Stuck things move once they get melted. Little by little, applying the heat of our love. We waited for you, Lolo. Sam, you're 100% correct. Ley line walkers are usually blind. How about that? Ancient megalithic structures are built on those interconnected lines. Ancient societies, right? Ancient civilizations. The visual spectrum interrupts the magnetic field. Observable influence. Old magic. Yeah. Holy smokes, right, Loizana? YouTube is the round table. All of us getting to be in this moment, right? That this round table can extend infinitely. That it would be impossible for us to have all people in the world be on the farm right now. But through our technology, we actually can. The ley lines, right? Every single person being a node, us connecting in this moment, creating a line, a person and another person creating another line, intersection points happening, almost like us building a grid around this earth of safety, of love, of protection, of unity, of community, of resonance with love. Man, you friends inspire me. Joe, what? Once more, in lower phrase. I feel maybe it's one of those things where you're not supposed to know. Haters gotta hate, but love is true. Oh yeah. Sam, you always shake my perspective, adding to and I appreciate it so much. Jovan, I was feeling into an old Futurama bit where, again, it goes, where is the device that speeds or slows the passage of time? Under the seat. Smoke enough pot and time is no longer a thing, neither is anything else. Smoke enough pot, take enough LSD, eat a bunch of mushrooms, smoke DMT. There's a bunch of ways to completely forget that time is even a thing because it never was. It's all relative, exactly. Exactly. Time is relative. It's where you're looking from, right? Even Einstein himself was aware that time only exists where there is an observer. You know, Einstein mathematically built an observer into some of his equations. Isn't that insane to you? The fact that we need an observer, we need that intersection point for our physics to work. Just give it up. Yeah. You are powerful. You are strong. You are capable of bringing waves of love into this world never seen before. I believe in you. I believe in us as a collective to make this world a better place. And I believe as we show up for love, that love will only resonate, right? Become more and more true. Like, we're not going to find by showing up for love every day for the rest of our lives that love suddenly is less true than it was when we started. No. We're only going to have more informational bits, right? Again, what we seek, what we look for in the world is what we find. And the problem we're trying to solve is how to be more in love with life, more in love with my life, more in love with the life that is the people around me, more in love with the life that is my pets, the trees, the birds, the bugs. How can I become more in love with that life? New friends are showing me that it is possible. Göbekli Tepe was time. Yeah. I would love just to. There we go. Back live again. I would love to be able to go back in time and see how people lived during the time of Göbekli Tepe. I would love to hear their stories about how they interpret reality. Like, that would be insane to me. I maybe one day, maybe we'll figure out how to. Time is relative. Joe, I love being in this space, and I love how you guys value my perspective and my shiny information rocks. We do. I just wish, and I mean, I will one day. This is something that I plan on doing as well. I'll turn your friends' comments into like little trophies, like little works of art, and then I'm going to have like a whole virtual space, and I'm going to place your little works of art on my shelving, my virtual shelving, and then I can be like, oh, bloop, I can point to one of these things and bloop, it can generate that idea or bring it back into, visual perspective, little information rocks. I'll steal that word from you. I think of us as the same kind of grid, each of us being energy points to where we live, each of us located around the world. Exactly, Shan. That's why I'm trying to uplift you, friends, because I know we are going to save this world together, right? It's impossible for me as one node in the grid to generate enough energy to change things, right? Because the amount of energy I can generate is either a 0 or a 1, right? Not a 0 or a 50 trillion billion, no, 0 or 1, polarity, right? And in order to change this world, we need more people who understand oneness than we need people to understand worthlessness, right? And the more of us that do, the more of us that there are, the more of us that there will be wanting to see change, realizing change in our lives, in our relationships, in our personal experiences, intersecting reality. Yow! Skabow! Sam, I was referencing the fact that when we close our eyes, we can feel the magnetic highways that encircle the earth. I would love to. I don't know if I have that ability just yet. I so fully believe in the sanctity within all of you, within all of us. Thank you, Jovan, for feeling that truth. Man, the stream is like healing my heart, friends. Straight up, I cannot tell you how much this is making me feel. Me too, Melty. Civilization and its many forms are fascinating, very much so, right? I want to sleep on one of those altars. I want to be inside of the pyramids as it's fully functioning. I want to be able to see the pyramids when it's still like coated in that beautiful white marble with the golden tops. Yassi. I think that would be so sexy. So freaking sexy. Life goals, yeah, little by little. Interesting, Joe. I deal more with internal power than global systems, but I know I'd like to learn more. They bleed into each other, Sam. You're doing good work. Know that. Know that I see it. Know that I consider you very wise, Sam. One of the wisest people that I've met. Interesting, Joe. I think everyone. Yes, Shan. A little Orbi energy bubble zooming around the grid like bumper cars on Tron, creating the exchanging energy. That's why we gotta make the good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. You friends make good stuff, yo. I feel good right now. Thank you. I have to go to the bathroom. I feel like I'm gonna explode. Your heart is my heart. It's her heart. It's his heart. It's our heart. It's the heart of humanity. It's the heart of Mama Gaia beating in every single one of us. The sun rising and setting. Us inhaling and exhaling. Waking up and sleeping. Being happy and being sad. Being hopeful and being hopeless. Skip boop, babody bop, skibbity boopity boop. You, as the intersection point, just notice. Just be noticing. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So many things. So cool. Blood cells of Gaia. Yes, it's my suspicion that the pyramid tops are held somewhere in someone's private collection. Hopefully, I'll get to see those as well. I would love to. Have the mostest, beautifulest day, everyone. I love you all so super, massively, hugely, dearly. Melton, all of you, astonishingly loving and wonderful friends. As we love you, Samwise, the real, Lord of the Rings hero. Yeah, Peppermint, you are the whoosh in my sword. Thank you, friends, for being the love of my life, right? And I do think of it that way. Like, you friends have shown me more love during these streams than I have unironically received in my entire existence, right? And that's me. I'm not actually putting that lightly. That is a truth. Without a shadow of doubt, you friends have proved love is true. Love is true. Love is true. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Love to you too. Makes me now me making whoosh sounds. Cheers, friends. Love you.